Hello guys, I have a 2001 Camaro. We just pushed it in the garage, and we have a crank no start. A lady was driving this car, stopped at the store, came out, and car would not start. At the beginning, it was like a little of stalling, and then she would crank again, would start for a second, then it would stall again. Now we have a no start completely, and I asked her if she has enough fuel. She said yes, and I asked her if she can get, because I was on the road, I was at home, I asked her to get a couple of, she owns this car for maybe a month or so, and I asked her to get some fuel, a couple of gallons, just to fill up the tank just in case. And you can see they have a half a tank, and still no start. Now it's actually 90,000 miles on it, so pretty low miles. I'm not sure if it's accurate. I guess it is for the year. So let's go ahead and figure it out. You got compression, ignition or fuel. The engine actually cranks pretty good. I just checked that. Nice even crank. Now security light, something that's not. Security light is not going off when I crank the engine, stays on. So that's something to keep in mind. And let's check the fuel pressure real quick, and then I will go from there. I just threaded my fuel gauge to the Schrader valve, and I did not see any fuel coming out of the as I was threading my hose into it. So, and pressure is 0. Let's crank it again. Okay, no fuel. Next step, let's check in the wiring diagram. We have a fuel pump. It's constantly grounded, so it's a power side switch. That's pretty much any fuel pump. We have a fuel pump relay. Here's a power side, load side of the relay is getting the power from this 20 amp fuse, and then the fuel pump relay is constantly grounded, the control side, and it's getting power from a power control module. It's on the next page, but we know since this is the constant ground, you guys see that. So the control side, it has a constant ground, and it's getting power from the power control module. We're going to check to make sure the computer is turning on the relay. We're going to check this fuse. Everything's going to be done right at the relay itself. I'm going to put my adapter, and we'll check the operation of the fuel pump relay next. Here's the fuel pump relay. This is the cover from the bottom fuse box. Fuel pump relay, and fuse on for the load side is this 20 amp. Actually, this is the only one because the PCM provides power on the control side. And here's the fuel pump. And look at this way. It's the fuel pump, and that's this one here. So next step, we're gonna pull this relay out, and gonna install our adapter. I absolutely love this, and please don't tell me it's not gonna fit. Oh, I got barely. All right. Now I'm gonna put this back in. So first we're gonna take a test light. We're gonna connect it to the ground, and now this is the load side, red and black wire. And this is the control. This is the control side, red and black, and this is my load side. And I'm not sure if the fuse is power all the time. Let's just see. There you go. So we got a power right here. We know that this fuse is giving us a power. Now this side here, it should when we put it to battery positive, we should have a ground. The fuel pump should provide the ground to our test light. I'm gonna use it. You're going to connect the to power, and there you go. So this tells me that I don't have a wiring issue all the way to the fuel pump, and the ground should be fine as well. So this is not 100%, but gives me a good idea that I don't have any wiring issue yet. So again, this is the this is straight through because right now our circuit is open. I can actually pull this relay out. So now we're just testing right now a load side of the circuit, and by connected to battery positive, our fuel pump, it has a constant ground. The resistor on our Tesla is lower, and it should provide our ground to light up the Tesla, and it does. And now when we change it to the ground and go to this wire here, this leg, and that is the power that's coming from this fuse. Now if I pull this fuse out, we should lose this power. There you go, the power goes out. So now this is just a quick way, you know, sometimes the fuse can be maybe inside a car or whatever, you know, it's just easier to go straight to the relay, and you can actually test it without even going to the checking the fuses. You know right away that your fuse is okay. The last thing we're going to do is going to put the relay back in, and now we're going to use a voltmeter. We're going to do the DC volts, and I'm going to, now actually something else we can do right now, we can check the ground on this relay here on a control side. Now I'm going to move my light, my test to battery positive, my test light, and I'm going to take the relay out, and one of these legs should light up now. It should have a ground. So let's see that. Nothing on this leg. So this should be the control wire from the PCM. And let's see here. It's not lighting up. Let's check the connector here. And there you go. Alright, you always want to check your connector. You know, if something goes, if there's something that doesn't look right, you know, always want to check to make sure you have a good connection. So there you go. So now we have a, you know, we have a good ground on our control side of the relay, and the next we're going to check our control from the computer. Now technically we can actually move this to ground and crank the engine over and move it to this leg here, and it should light up if you have a control from the power control module. Let's see if you can actually see from the car this. Let's just make sure it's light up. The ground is okay. It's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this wire here. All right, you can see our test light. I think I'm on the correct wire. I think I messed it up. So let's go ahead and. Okay, we can see actually we have a prime right away. You can see that our test light does light up and stay lit as we crank. We're going to confirm control side with a voltmeter. I'm just going to put this across here. So this should be power, this should be ground. So I'm just going to crank the engine over again. I'll turn just the key on and see, you know, we should have a 12 volts on our control side. Alright, so the battery is a little low. We have a prime. Okay, alright, so that is good. So last check we need to check that the relay itself is actually working. Now we know that our control side is functional. We know that we are getting a power to a load side from the fuse, and just gonna move this. So now we know that we are receiving the power from the fuse on this leg, and we need to verify that we will receive the power to this leg. That we close the relay, send the power down to a fuel pump, and we can simply connect another. We can, you know, crank the engine over or turn the key on since we have a prime and see if this test light is going to light up, or you can just use the another test light to close the circuit on the control side. Now we know this black one is our ground, and now if I give the power to this side of the relay, it's going to close the relay, and we should see that this Tesla is going to light up. And you can see that. So now we know the relay is okay. Everything is fine here, and next thing we can try to hit the tank with a mallet and see if we can you know, wake up the pump and start the car. Unfortunately, I'm by myself. I'll try to hit the tank and try to crank it, but the best would be to hit the tank as somebody's cranking the car, and the tank is right there and kind of here as well, so it'll be fun to take this off. Let's see. There you go. Alright, got a bad fuel pump. There's a 40 psi. I'm gonna take this fuse out and put the loop, you know, and get the current ramp to see, you know, what kind of current we have in this fuel pump. Nick and I were able to start the car for a short period of time, and you can see this pump is complete junk. But the main thing is that when we look at the peak amperage here, it's around 8 to 9 amps, which tells me that I don't have any wiring issue. Pretty much have a bad pump. And just zoom here. Yeah, I mean, this is just nothing. This pump is completely dead. But you can see this peak of the amperage is 8 to 9 amps, which is enough for the pump to run. This pump is completely gone. And alright, I'll drop the tank and change the pump. I'm ready to start. I'm pumping my fuel out. I love my vacuum pump. That tool is so useful. So many different things. And actually just the other day I got this little tubing from Kentmore. This is a siphon hose for a fuel tanks, and so far actually works pretty good. It has a little wire in it, maybe a little bit stiff, and so you can actually get into the fuel tank. And let's see if I can get, it's J45004-1, and yeah, it works pretty well. I got most of the fuel out, and got all the heat shields out, a couple cross members, and there's the fuel tank exposed. This exhaust pipe, I had put a piece of 4x6 behind the rear end, and to keep it, you know, to keep it down. Hopefully I'm going to have enough clearance to drop the tank. Now the filler neck is pretty rusted out, and I need to remove the clamp, but it's really hard now to get this hose off of the rusted pipe, so I made these little elevators, so to speak, as little instruments. This was a just this old screwdriver, and I heated up with a acetylene torch and smashed it down and curved it a little bit, made it nice and flat. I also have another one here, a little bit bigger, so hopefully, you know, I can get my tool between the hose and the pipe. So I also have like these are a little bit different. I gotta curve them as well, but they're a little tight, a little bit too big. I can actually, but let's see how this is gonna work. Let's see how this actually goes into it so much easier. It's nice because it's flat, and so the biggest problem is right where the clamp used to be. It's really tight, so I just have to push this tool as far as I can. There you go. I might actually even replace hose anyway, but I'm just trying to free it out from the filler neck. Now I could work it out a little bit, hopefully all the way around. But there you go. I think I just broke it. Crap. Oh, that sucks. Well, it's okay. I'll make another one. I'll make another one. Tried it off a little bit too much and put a little bit too much stress on it, but it worked. And I did keep hitting my button on my pump, so I did spray it with a silicone spray as well before I started, but of course you can see it didn't go all the way in. It did work, so I have to find this piece. Anyhow, well, it works okay. It's a little brittle now since I had to heat it up and all that, but I'll just make another one. This really works pretty good. They're nice, and there you go. That's a piece. They're nice and flat, and they can go between your hose and pipe. I'm making pretty good progress. I disconnect the harness over there, and I was able to disconnect the evap line and one fuel line. I still have a main fuel line that goes from the fuel filter over there. Let's see. Yeah, there's a fuel filter, and that main line is still connected to the top of the tank. Now, as I said before, I pulled this exhaust as far as I could down, and I had to bend these straps backwards so I can slide the tank out, but I think this will be fine. It's pretty soft, so I can bend it back and bolted the tank back. Now, as I said, the last thing I need to do now is just take the mirror, get up there and get my fuel line disconnected, and it should come out pretty easy. This is the last line that I have. Everything else has already been disconnected. So this connector here, that's the main fuel line. So once I get this, I was able to actually angle the tank a little bit more, and there's a plenty of room. These hoses are pretty flexible, so no problem there at all. So hopefully I can pull it off now. It's always a little bit of fuel left. Okay, so that's the main fuel line. I'm just gonna leave that up, and yeah, everything is good to go now. Should be able to slowly. Alright. Okay, I just needed two hands, but yeah, this is purge valve, vent valve, charcoal canister and all that stuff. Everything is pretty good shape. Cool. And it's out. I'm gonna get the air compressor, clean up all the debris off the tank, and get the fuel pump out. Okay, now we should be able to get a current from this fuel pump. I've got my M clamp hooked up with my got my power probe, and got a lev scope to hook up the scale of 10 amps, so 100 milliseconds per screen, and let's go ahead and layer. Now you can see here this pump is completely, it's one of the commutators is open, and yeah, it's just kind of weird. I think I need to zero my clamp. It is zeroed. Let's try this again. That's better. Alright. There you go. You can see it's actually pulling very, very low amperage. Only, well, this is not under load. This is just in outside of the fuel tank. It's not pushing any fuel, but anyhow, we can see that right in here it's an open open commutator, and that's what causing our problem, is getting down to 0 amps. So alright, the new pump will fix this issue for sure. It's a good capture. Okay, fuel pump is installed, tank is up, and before I still have to put the cross member and the heat shields and all that, and secure the exhaust. Before I do any of that, I want to fill some gas and see if it's running. It will, but just to make sure. And I had to bend these straps a little bit. I had to bend them all the way back so I can actually pull this exhaust down and slide the tank up in the position. That's fine. I mean, it's a little bent, but it's okay. I mean, there's no other way other than do that, or if you don't do it, then you pretty much have to remove the exhaust completely, and it's not worth the time. Okay, I'm gonna fill a couple gallons of fuel and see what we got. Okay, my fuel gauge is still installed, so let's turn the key on and we should have a prime. Okay, let's try one more time. The fuel system is empty, but I don't have much fuel either, so the pump is running okay. There you go. Good. That's it. Alright, so got a 50 psi of pressure, no bleed down so far. That's good. Let's get it started. Interesting enough, the security light is still on. That's weird. I had to check that, but we have a good fuel pressure now. Okay, let's shut it off. It stays around 40 something. Good. All right. All right. Pump responds pretty good. And got a new fuel filter already installed, and alright, I can finish it. The car is still on the lift, and I'm going to check for leaks and all that, so let's go ahead and check our current now from the fuel pump. You can see our previous waveform. Alright, we are pulling around 5 amps, fuel pressure is 45, and here's our waveform, it's nice and even. There you go. That's pretty good, I like it. So again, I'm just going to keep it running for 10-15 minutes, get under the car again, check for leaks and all that, but this is a fix. So. Alright guys, nothing special, another fuel pump. This is the third one like in a month or so. And but just to see, the basic setup and testing, checking our circuitry at relay. I've shown my relay adapted. I modified a little bit that I can actually easily identify, control, and the load side of the relay. This is it. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and off to the next one. Alright, bye bye.